somebody on Reddit asked a pretty interesting question.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you have an interesting answer to it. What makes a chess move, quote unquote, human? As you are someone, this is to me, but it's mentioning you in third person. As you are someone working in AI, this idea of humanness would seem incredibly interesting. Yes, sir, it is. Especially since most cheat detection relies on humanness as a way to detect cheaters. I think since children being born right now will have the advantage of engine training their whole life, they will start to see the game the way an engine does. Will a person be considered a cheater if they play like an engine? There also seemed to be a discrepancy, especially with Levy, about who can play what appears to be a non-human move. He often says things like, quote, if you were a normal player, normal in quotes, if you were a normal player, I would think you were cheating. But since it's Magnus, I don't doubt Magnus is great, but if humanness is our benchmark, what is the ELO rating where your moves can start to look like an engine without critique? There's a bunch of questions in there.
They combine two of my quotes.
Yes.
Into one. So one thing that I like to say is sometimes in a chess game, moves look or an opening looks so ridiculous that if a viewer played it, I would make fun of them or slap them. That's always the joke. If I was your chess coach, I'd smack you. But when Magnus plays it, which, oh, wow, it's a very different. So they mixed up this quote with another quote, which is, if I'll be explaining something and I'll say, and here the engine says you should play like this.
Yeah.
If one of your opponents plays like this, report them for cheating. So they fused two quotes. They said, human can't play like that, but because it's an engine move, but because Magnus is playing. So they mixed kind of two things.
But there's interesting levels of humor and insight there on both of those.
Yeah. The difference between human move and engine and like what an engine move is I think two things. Number one, a computer move is outlandish in its concept and its idea. So the best example that I can give of that is if you gave 100 grandmasters a position and told them, what do you think the best move here is for black? Not in this position, right here we have nothing, but an overwhelming amount of them would look at the position, evaluate everything they know about the game of chess, which is relatively similar, but obviously slightly imbalanced based on their skill level, and they would come up with a sample size of 2 or 3 moves.
Mm-hmm.
And in comes the computer with a fucking haymaker, and suddenly everybody goes, everything we know about chess has gone out the window. So they all start looking at that move, and they know it's the best move. So now they start adding the evidence behind the verdict, as opposed to getting to the verdict while first looking at the evidence. So the concept of it and the idea of it is so outlandish based on a certain type of position that you can't fully grasp it. You have to continue to beg the engine to tell you what the variation is. A move is only good if its extension is good. That's the way chess works. So if like a move is good, it's because the computer has seen that the various branches of things going forward are also good. So you bring all that back. And no human could have even conceptualized that initial thing. But the second thing about computer moves is they look counterintuitive. So if you might be in a position where it looks like the demands of the position are A, B, C. And then the computer is like, nope, it's not, because I've seen the future way more than you possibly could have, and I don't have emotions.
So like dumb moves and brilliant moves can look similar.
Yes, and oftentimes do.